Today we are in Groton, Connecticut, and a big preserve, and this is a many-stemmed maple swamp. And it's a swamp of many-stemmed red maples. The shrubs are predominantly clethra, and there's assorted, sphagnum mosses, plagiominium. There's yellow birch. There's some cottonwood or poplar here and there, black birch. And there's lots of good rocky cliffs, so I'm going to show you those later on. This is Populus grandidentata, or the big tooth aspen. And here's the tree it came from right here. Relatively common throughout the area. Calcladium imponens, or brocade moss, or hypnum moss. And it forms these big mats on these rocks here. And right down trail, we have some Bassania trilobata right here. Little liverwort. One of my favorites. And then we got the polytrichum right here too, with its little spore capsule. I love mosscapes. And I love Bassania. Beautiful. And all the Calcladium. Nice and spongy, even has its own little sporangia. Its little spore capsule. Beautiful. This is dry oak heathland, dominated by chestnut oak, Quercus montana, and scarlet oak, or just members of the Quercus rubra group, which is lobate. You got Kalmia latifolia, or mountain laurel, and you have Galusha baccata, or the black huckleberry. And it just forms this big thicket. Everything coated with a prodigious amount of lichen. These rocky uplands, we also have Gaultheria precumbens, or the eastern teaberry, or American wintergreen. They call it all sorts of stuff, but just call it Gaultheria precumbens. And these berries are delicious, and they taste like the wintergreen, because that's kind of where the flavor comes from, these little berries. We have some Monotropa uniflora here too. This weird liverwort or moss thing, I have no idea what it is. It might be an odontoschisma, but it's definitely a small liverwort. It has these teeny tiny little, I don't know, sporangia? Little spore capsules. They're so small. It's definitely a liverwort. I have no idea what it is. And it's kind of integrated with this dicranum. And there's a little polytrichum, maybe an atrichum. And that's the dicranum right there. Very interesting. Here we have a patch of Umbilicaria mammulata, or the toadskin moth, or maybe it's not. I think this is the smooth rock tripe. And then over here we have like 1,000 little springtails covering it. I put my hand down and I killed a bunch. My bad. Sorry guys, little springtails. And this is rubbery and smooth, and it's black at the bottom. It grows in racks. Pretty cool. It's a lichen. I believe this is some sort of guild polypore. It's flat, it's a shelf fungi. And then, I flipped it over before, it's just a big stick. Wow. Alright, but check that out. That's awesome. Beautiful. And it's growing right here, blocking the leaves with the little rock polypodes and the Pennsylvania sedge. Little monotropas here and there. More Umbilicaria with the rocks, the granite. And I'm going to be exploring over there, and I'm going to go over there. And I'm just going to stick to these cliffs and see what I find. Here we got Cladonia apatocarpa. Oh, the stalkless Claytonia, or Cladonia. I like its texture. Look at all that smooth rock tripe. Look at it all. The rock polypodes, and that's an old quarry over there. Ooh, look at that. The many-forked Claytonia, or a deer moss. Wow. That's awesome. And I'm going to probably head over to that area. And then further on to that area. And then I'm going to go south. So we have two cladonias here, and they're in the same genus. This is also a cladonia. So I feel like cladonias should be split up. Whoa, look at that one. That's a moss. I gotta ID that one. But apparently this cladonia is the same genus as this cladonia. I don't know about you, they're not too similar. Maybe they got the same fruiting structures, but I mean that's definitely, you know, the same genus, but it's related to that. It's a lichen. So I need to get better at lichens. So I know these are two different ones, but I don't know, the ID, there's like 3 different cladonias that look like this, and there's like 3 different ones that look like this. So far, I think it's Cladonia unsilensis, and then this is Cladonia fricata. But I might be completely wrong. But I know they're 2 different ones. Look at them. They are very beautiful. I gotta get better at IDing them. I know that's for sure. We got Lacelia papulosa, or the toadskin lichen. And it's another kind of rock dweller, just like the umbilicaria here. So you can usually find them growing in the same place. They're beautiful. Look at all that Polypodium virginiatum, or the rock polypody, absolutely covering these large granite boulders. Everywhere. Beautiful. One of my favorites. Look at that. Look at all those sorries. That's how they spread. Or at least that's what these are called. They're called sorries. You gotta say it like a Canadian. You say, "Oh, I'm sorry, bud." Beautiful. This beautiful Sterium lobatum. Beautiful. In the genus Sterium. It's a shelf fungus, a polypore. Look at the coloration. Look how freaking beautiful. Why wouldn't you want a rotting log in your yard covered in this? So neat. Love that patterning, the coloring. Another angle of that beautiful rock polypody dungeon. I think we can make it through there. I mean, I could, but going up is a little easier. Beautiful. I mean, I totally could have slid through, but I didn't. Caves and whatnot. You could live in here. Oh yeah, you could totally live in here. Look at that little gap. Oh, cool. These are the remains of white wood aster, or Yerbia diveritica. I wonder if there's any basal rosettes. Nope. No basal rosettes. That would just be the leaves. And that's Dryopteris marginalis, or the marginal wood fern. Cool stuff. There's a neat fungus over there, and I'm gonna go to it. So probably up and through and over, or maybe climb right there. Well, we'll see. I'm gonna get to it. I'm gonna see if I can jump across right here. Oh yeah, I totally can do that. Holding the phone, maybe, maybe not. Definitely would be better if I had all things to grab on. And I just gotta scurry through this crevasse. Oh yeah. Ooh, a crevasse. It's pretty neat. And this is Virginia creeper. So now I just need to head into there. Oh, I'm back up here. Alright. There's my fungus. Getting closer, just gotta slip through here. Here we are. Our big gill, maybe not gill, I think they're just big polypores, yeah. Big polypores. Very neat. I'm gonna take some pictures and then I'll ID them on iNatural. Look it out, I split it in half. There's a mold growing on the fungus. It's a polypore. And there's all of its little, I don't know the terminology for this for mushrooms, but these are all, I guess, the spore tubes in the flesh of the mushroom. And they're pretty big. They smell nice, like a mushroom. And it's growing on this old dead birch here at the trunk of it. Pretty neat. Now I'm gonna get out of here. Now I'm at the bottom of this ledge with all the umbilicaria. Very beautiful, very nice. And I'm heading over to the next ridge. On top of this rock, we have a plant in the sunflower family called a Symphyotrichum, or a wood aster. I don't know the exact species, but it's probably the panicled one, because they tend to grow in the forest. Here's its beautiful, beautiful little basal rosette, and these are the remains of its flowers and of its seeds. And it's growing up on this flat rock with the drafters of Vaccinium, a high bush blueberry, some black birch, Betula lenta, and some Rosa multiflora. These tend to take over areas, or they don't take over, but they do like this kind of niche, growing on top of rocks. I'm heading over there now. Some old cable and steel rigging, probably from when this place was used as a quarry. So it makes you wonder if these piles of rocks over here are just kind of like dumped pieces, you know, part of the exploded quarry, you know, because they used to explode stuff. Is this a giant hook? It is a giant hook. How cool is that? Wow. Yeah, going through a little eye ring. It's a pulley. Neat. And this is your typical oak glade land habitat. Open, you know, has the different cladonias, the leucobirum and dicranum mosses, the laceria, the toadskin lichens, and the umbilicaria, the pelt lichen, I don't know. Chestnut oaks, red oaks, some white oaks, some heath, like the black huckleberry here. Pretty open, pretty rocky. Occasional sedges like this one. Actually, this is a lazula. It's a sedge. You can find cool plants in these areas, but they gotta be more sunny. If you were to clear it, you'd find that plants that are dormant in the soil will eventually come out. Or they will appear. And by appear, I mean like they'll move in through the wind or through animals or from nearby populations. Little hook right into the rock. Probably put in 80 or 90 years ago when this quarry was active. Here's that cool little blue polytrichum I like. It has a bluer appearance to the more common green one. It's a little polytrichum moss. And it's blue. Here we have invasive Norway maple. While it may be the only one here now, this thing will tolerate the shade perpetually, eventually reach the canopy and shit out a bunch of seeds, and then pretty much the only thing that can survive in the understory is little saplings of these. So in the future, these will just dominate our forests. But in the far future, if nothing happens. It's a little Norway spruce. A little Charlie Brown Christmas tree. So this is a pile of all the millings and tillings, or just the scrap pieces from the granite quarry. Tons of it. And right now I'm standing on like a 40 or 50 foot cliff area. And so getting down I'll have to go around. Yep. Yupperson. Yeah, that's a long way down. The only thing breaking my fall is death. That's a little pond there. And that's the old quarry building. Or the building where they sold the quarry. I think they're still called like a Granite group or something like that. Look at that. Very neat. Mylaris balloonus. The mylar balloon. Elmo! Mylaris balloonus var elmois. Or elmoria. It's the Latin name for an Elmo. Elmo mylar balloon. Hey Elmo, you're coming with me. I was just at the top of this overhang here. Look at that. I didn't even know this was here. Holy smokes. I'm gonna continue down. Right, look at that. Making my way down. It's dry, so you could set up a little camp right here, even though this is the north and the wind would be blowing in from you. But you got a source of water right there. You can see where they drilled in the dynamite tubes right there, or drilled in for the dynamite to be stuck inside of it. A little bit of graffiti. Wow. And I was at the top of this little ledge here. Now we're heading towards our tilling pile, or the pile of all the, maybe not tillings, I don't know, just shillings, millings. Look at that, nice flat face. Cool. This epicormic growth on this black birch here. So it's basically sending up a bunch of small branches from all these little buds, and then they just kind of senesce and die because they overcrowd each other. And it runs all the way up the bark. I wonder what causes this. Very curious. Look how many buds. I mean, that's hundreds of little branches trying to form right there. I have another plant in the sunflower family called Oclema acuminata, or the worldwood aster. And it has this little whorl of leaves and a couple flowers up top. It looks like a white little daisy. It's a little perennial. It grows in rocky habitats, such as the talus slopes of this old quarry. First time finding it at this preserve. We got Epiphagus virginiana, a parasite on beech trees. Or beech drops is the common name. And we likely have, oh look, American beech, Fagus grandifolia. And likely affected by the beech leaf disease. I'll tell in the spring. Making our way down this, or next to this talus slope. No way I'm hiking on that. I didn't bother checking up there. It's a lot. Just the millings and tillings, this scrap thrown down the hill. I had to go up this little ridge here. Maybe I'll go down to that valley with the little brook in it. There's a swamp, and then there's our tilling pile, or milling pile, shilling pile, talus pile, pile. I don't got the correct shoes for bogging, or walking in bogs, but next summer I want to explore that bog. One's little stash of whatever, looks like a pot, an old shelf of some sort. An old cast iron cooking utensil. What else do we have? We have a plastic bag. Nope, it is a I don't know. More plywood, more leaves, and this little cave. Or it's more or less not really a cave, it's just a area of tumbled down rocks. What else we got in here? To go back? It goes back, kind of. You could probably get behind there. And we have the ferns on the other side over there. So I could probably crawl through, but I don't feel like it. So we're gonna... Ooh, look at that. That's some cool fungus right there. That's neat. Alrighty, I made it down from my slope of large talus and rocky crags. We have some nice cliffs over there. And part of this preserve, it has these paths that run through here. We have some paths right here, but these paths, for whatever reason, do not lead back to the main path. So there's been instances where I had to like just kind of meander my way back. Then we have this little nice little brook here in this beech forest. I wonder if Goodyear pubescens grows down here. It might, but also might not. It might be too rocky for it. I'll have to look around. And here's the talus slope. I just kind of meandered my way down that. Over here we have more quarry stuff. More big iron rings or steel rings in the rocks, as well as more cable. It makes me wonder if this whole valley was cleared and I guess mined for granite, having to use these big cables. I can imagine them kind of running across with the buckets. How cool is that? You think they would run across, like straight across? Maybe. Oh look, is this a slug or is it a mushroom? What's a mushroom? Walking up on another quarry pit. Looks like this is an old furnace. You have the bricks there. And it was made into a fireplace, unless this is always a fireplace. A little camp fireplace. We got panicled hawkweed right here. Heracea paniculatum. Burn barrel. More iron rings. And then over here, we got some quarry stuff. Got a deep pit. We got a pile of talus. We got a bucket, plastic bucket. With all these steel. That's interesting. More iron, more steel. Look at that. I was thinking about drinking the water here, but that doesn't look drinkable. Whoa. Slippery leaves. Look at all that steel. Very slippery. Break your ass. Almost broke my wrist. Gotta shake it off. Gotta walk more carefully. Look, there's fucking bittersweet here. And burning bush. Fraying steel cables and wires. And burning bush. Euonymus elatus. Highly invasive. Pain in the ass plant. Terrible plant. That sounded like iron. Nope. Yep. Never been to this quarry or this pit. Wonder how deep it goes. Definitely wouldn't want to scuba dive in there. Pretty cool. I do hear water dripping from the cliff, so I would love to go up to the, like, where it's dripping out and, like, drink the water that's coming out. Taste the earth. Here's another relic of a past time, some kind of engine or hub or something like that. Cool stuff. Solenoid, maybe? No idea. Old tubes, old pipes. And I'm gonna be heading back up there. I'll let you know if I find any more cool stuff like this. Got Minium hornum, or horned calcareous moss. I just call it Minium. And it's not a moss, it's a liverwort. Moss in the genus Eulata, for the cushion moss, the crisp cushion mosses. These are typically only found on rocks. Very cute little moss. Eulata! Cool stuff. And now I'm just kind of making my way along the ledge. It was a lot steeper over there. Make my way up. We have this American beech fell. And now on its upturned stump we have various black birches growing. And I'd say they're about 3 to 4 years old. So this fell about 3 to 4 years. And by the looks of the leaves, the beech is still kind of hanging on because it still has its old leaves. Alrighty, I made it up to the top. There's coyotes cats, so coyotes use this trail. And we have all sorts of various dicranums and bezanias and leucobirums and tiny little mystery liverwort that's red along this edge of this cliff. About 50 feet. Alright. And then we got clethra, of all things. A wetland shrub on the edge of here. So this must just be where just enough water or moisture is for it to survive. We got Calmia latifolia. That's all these evergreen shrubs. More umbilicaria. Now we're getting into the glades. Cool stuff. This is 60-foot cliff. Maybe 60 feet. Pretty steep though. Wouldn't want to fall. We have that American beech that's growing at the base of it down there. I came up, just followed it up and around. I did go to the top over there. And over there, that's where the little quarry was with the brown water. Whee! Slippery leaves. Alright, I'll let you know if I find anything cool. I'm heading to the lowlands. Originally being in the uplands, I'm looking for capnoides along these rocks. But in the lowlands, I'm looking for a Goodyeara, pubescens. And I saw an area that's flat in between these two ridges with hickories in it. And last time I was botanizing or just exploring, I found Goodyeara pubescens underneath a hickory overstory. While the area was a lot more rich, which is directly tied to, I guess, the populations of Goodyeara. They need to be in richer areas, so this valley would be pretty rich, and hickories tend to grow in slightly more rich areas. So, I'm heading down, and I'll let you know if I find any. I'm gonna follow this wash. Sounds like there's water running inside the wash. Yeah, there is. That's neat. Yeah, look at that. Cool. Little spring coming from the uplands. It's running underneath all these rocks. Yeah, look at that. Graceful little... Ooh, look. Funky head, dude. That's awesome. Look at that. Isn't that something? That is interesting. Spike face man with the shiny eyes. Alright, we're making our way from Mr. Man here in the spring. We're gonna head down to these lowlands. Oh, it's raining now. That's cool. The water gushed out of here so fast that it blew out most of the water, or the leaves in here. So we're gonna head down there. Cool moss called Tetraphis pellucida. Found on this little rock next to the spring. Neat stuff. This one caught my eye because it's very different. You know, I will never understand mountain biking. I mean, I guess it's fun. I mean, there's a guy up here doing it. But, you're not really out here enjoying it. It's just like another track for you. I mean, good for him that he's doing it. He's obviously struggling. Look at him. I mean, he stopped like 5 times in the last 20 feet. And now he's walking it. Poor guy. About 2 minutes. And we'll probably stop within the next 30 seconds. Oh, he's making it. He's doing good. Oh no. Oh, look at that. He's doing it. Oh, he stopped again. He's using his foot to move himself along. Not really a biking trail. That's why I go off trail. I mean, he's probably... Look, he stopped again. You know, I wouldn't be having a good time. That doesn't look like a good time to me. Slippery rocks. And... No thank you. I'd rather be looking around for cool plants. Look, it's Hypopodes. That's cool. Actually, no, it's just monotropa. They almost look like hypoptes. Hypoptes is like a monotropa with a bunch of flowers off of one stalk. And then we got New York fern, Amora peltanova borneensis. I'm kind of zigzagging through, seeing if I can find any plants in this little quadrant. And so far, nothing. And by plants, I'm just looking for Goodyear pubescens or anything else that catches my eye. I found a few cool fungi, but it's really nothing. And what I don't like is all these freaking signs and postings for, you know, state land. It's kind of tacky, kind of annoying. But lots of Amora pelta, so it's a richer area with the hickories, and it's absolutely filled with ferns in the summer. That's an ostrich, or not ostrich, cinnamon fern there. But so far, no Goodyear. This doesn't surprise me. I've yet to find Goodyear in this forest, or this preserve. Oh, is this the Neoflavus? I believe it is. Nope, it's some other weird polypore. So this is going to be a little ramble about botanizing in New England, at least during the winter or just in my experience. There's two ways you can do it. One way is just to stay on trail and cover a lot of ground and just see what grows along the trail, which, you know, you can have some success finding stuff. There's a lot of plants that do like growing directly on trails. Or you could just go off trail and meander. That's kind of what I'm doing. Meandering, you know, you look over there, you look over here, you look kind of here and there. No real goal. You just kind of, you know, let your soul take you places. And that's what I'm doing today. Just kind of looking around. I've mostly stayed in this valley or near this or this ridge. And now I'm just, you know, I found a Christmas fern area, Polysticum. And I'm going to see if the plant I'm looking for, Goodyear pubescens, grows over here. Maybe, maybe not. It's rather rocky and thin-soiled. And they do like thicker soil, but I have seen them in uplands. Also with botanizing, you gotta kind of, you either have a goal or you don't have a goal. I find both ways lead to, I guess, success and happiness when hiking. Because if you have a goal and you make it, you're happy. But if you don't make it, you know, sometimes you're not as happy. And sometimes I hike with no goal. Maybe I'll have like a little goal in there, because sometimes you can almost will. Like, I'm going to find Goodyear pubescens. And then it just pops up. And I just like adventuring. Like, I've never explored this area. And it's different every time. Like, no two hikes are the same in the same area. Like, during 2 days, you know? And I will likely, even though I've been to this preserve several times, and I don't really know the lay of the land, but I'm getting, I guess, the hang of it. But you will never fully explore an area, because in order to fully explore an area, you would need to, like, be in that area every day of the year. And even then. But it's also like, each area, depending on how acidic or, you know, demolished it is by, you know, human intervention via invasive plants or just disruption in general. You know, exploring the same disturbed area isn't as fun. It gets a little bit old, but it's also nice to just like kind of bounce between areas. Cause every area, like I could go a mile from here and it'd be a completely different kind of forest type. Even though it'd have the same general species, you know, things would just be a little different. Like here, it's more rocky here in a valley. There's beech groves, there's red maple, I mean, which all kind of happen everywhere else, but just the topography is different. You know, this is a spring-fed stream going downhill, whereas, you know, you could find a red maple swamp and it's just a divot. It has no drainage, or it's just part of a floodplain, and the species that occur are way different. So there's probably hundreds of different habitat types And of those habitat types, there is subsets of those types of habitats. So it's like infinite amount of exploring more or less. Ooh, look, it's spoon-leaved moss. Look at that. And Plagiominium right here. Look at that. Briar Andersonia. So beautiful. Anyways, that's my 2 cents on it. And now I'm in a lowland. Or this is kind of like a boggy area. We have the sensitive fern there. One of my favorite habitat types, but they're all kind of my favorite. This is what I mean by willing it to happen. Just exploring, and then you'll just happen upon the very plant you're looking for. Alright, I was just walking. I just literally went from there, kind of meandered over by that log, and just kind of came up. And right here, and look who's sitting here. Goodyear freaking pubescens. That's awesome. Growing on this kind of rocky slope. And so where you find one, now you know the habitat, and you'll likely find more. So I bet you they're all kind of scattered throughout this hill. Now we made it to the path where the biker guy was struggling over these rocks here. He stopped like 6 times in this path. It was kind of sad to watch. I felt bad for him. So I wouldn't be, you have Bluff Point nearby. And that's one of the most bikeable places around. He chose this place. Maybe it's because he's always biking. Who knows? I'm not one to judge, even though I am judging. I couldn't do what he does. Not that I would ever do it. His choice. You know, he was struggling. And there's places out in Rhode Island where bikers have they've decided to make 1,000 trails in a tiny little area. And some of those trails, they crisscross over rare orchid habitat, the World Pogonia. Not the World Pogonia. Yeah, it is the World Pogonia. Isotria. Or Isotria. Which is sad. I told them, they're like, alright, we'll stop building trails up there. I'm like, it is what it is. It's a healthy population, but it's still really, it's like a Rhode Island endangered plant. So I'll have to do a video on that population next year. Look at that hickory. Look at all the stems. So what probably happened here is the tree fell on the top branch basically a tree fell on it when it was young. And it had a few shoots to be able to come up. And so the tip eventually died. And then it just shot up. And that tree that fell on it died a long time ago. You can see that this one also is like that. So this tree probably fell from the upland down on top of it when they were young. Cool stuff. We have Cinna arundinacea, or the stout woodreed, and this thing is really common in kind of boggy, seepy areas, as well as along floodplains, and it's just a little wild grass. Doesn't look like much, but I think it's pretty. It's graceful. Alright, I almost sneezed. It's good forage for wildlife, like deer. It's a winter grass. Winter bezel rosette. So the forest flattens out, kind of, and gets a lot more laurel-y, and the soils are a little bit deeper. So you're getting some more deeper soil, like inhabitants such as oak, Chimaphila maculata, mountain laurel. I mean, all these can survive in glades, but you'll find them growing dense in thickets like this in areas with thicker soil that stays, I guess, more moisture around. This would be like a mesic mountain laurel oak forest. You have a Christmas ferns here and there. Saw some Pyrola americana. Like a tree fell on those mountain laurels. And I'm making my way towards another. Look, there's your Pyrola americana. It's very common in these types of forest. And this is like one of the most common types of forest in southern New England. Mountain laurel, endless. And you'll find cool habitats like the fern slope here and there. But overall, this is the dominant habitat. And they're not the most fun to hike through, because they tend to be botanically bare. Botanically unexciting, like 5 species. Red oak, black birch, mountain laurel, maybe some witch hazel, Chimaphila maculata, You got pyrola, that's 6. You got Christmas fern, that's 7. Maybe 3 or 4 different. Alright, so there maybe 20 species, but they're not as rich as an area like that, which can have up to 20 or 30, if not 40. But if you zoom out like a mile up, you know, the average species density in an area is probably between like 150 to 300, which isn't terrible. Favorite things about New England is just how fast habitats can change. Right now we're in a kind of like a huckleberry oak glade, and there's your mountain laurel thicket. Then over there was your hickory, kind of rich open hickory slope, and then across again you have one of these habitats, and then further in there's like a bog, or just like kind of like a wetland seep, and then there's a cold spring down there. So 5 or 6 habitat types, all kind of densely clustered in this area, which I love. Now we're in an old mountain laurel thicket, and these are somewhat walkable, but even more botanically bare than the younger one. And instead of following the trail, I'm going to go off trail and follow this little seep. Even though this trail probably sticks towards the top of this gully up here. I mean, in the gully I could probably find orchids. I think I've traveled the gully before. This just leads to the upland. Yeah, so this is the edge of the gully, colloquially known as the Dark Hollow. It's a little ravine that rises maybe 100 feet on both sides, up to 100 feet on both sides. There's your creek, and here's the ravine. I would love to explore up there. Probably a lot of good plants. I bet you there's good air all throughout here. And I've hiked this gully before. I just haven't hiked the top part yet, and I'm having trouble deciding if I want to go on this side or on that side. And the birds tweeting are the kinglets. Look, there they are. You see him? On that branch? There he is. Gold-crowned kinglet. I've decided on the slope, and I'm going to see if I can find capnoides, because this is the type of habitat it likes. Kind of flat rocks. It'll grow in the crevasse, or crevasses. Look at that chestnut oak. That thing's awesome. Likely old growth, because people likely never logged the slopes because they're precarious. I've entered a chestnut oak pitch pine glade. It's a subset of kind of like an oak-heath blend, or an oak-heath glade. Thin soils, sparse trees that are dwarfed and small, scattered pitch pines, Pinus striatus. One of these days, I want to do some clearing up here, and I want to get rid of at least half, or over half, the chestnut oaks to make this more like a grassland, and keep all the pitch pines. Or basically clear all the chestnut oaks where the pitch pines are. Because it's majority of it's chestnut oaks, and over time this pitch pine forest is going to decline because the pitch pines can only grow in full sun areas. In the long distant past, this was a landscape that frequently had fire. It's a high point, it's dry, so these chestnut oak leaves will go right up in flame. The heath burns, the pitch pine basically needs fire to grow. So that's kind of, not really how and why it's here, but more or less, if you see pitch pine, there was likely fire at one point in this area. So I think there's another cliff on this side. I'm not 100% sure. So so I'm gonna look. And I mean, I was checking over there, over on the east facing side, but I wasn't really finding anything. And I could have hiked there forever, kind of like what I did with the Goodyear pubescens, and I would have eventually found something, but I didn't. About 250 to 300 feet above sea level. Yeah, this isn't what I want. Not quite rocky and exposed enough. The other side was a lot more exposed. This just goes back into that endless oak mountain laurel thicket. So I guess I'll go back up this way. Found orchids in this habitat before, and that orchid belongs to the genus Cypripedium, and it's called Cypripedium acuale, or the pink lady slipper. And I feel like it would be a little happier if there was a little bit more openness up here and not completely filled with this black huckleberry. But it exists up here, so that's good enough. It blooms in mid to late May, and I'm excited for the next time I come up here, because mid to late May is one of the most beautiful times in southern New England. Pretty much anywhere in New England, mid to late May is just jaw-droppingly gorgeous. But this is also pretty nice. It's nice in its own way, with its little pitch pines. This is about where I found them last year. This area were to be, or at least the uplands, were to be more managed with fire. You'd get a lot more wildflowers up here, more diversity, and you'd get more grasses. I feel like grasslands are slightly more cool than Oak-heath forest, because they just have more diversity to them. While this area, this is just one individual, the only individual up on this slope. If that was cleared, or not fully cleared, just left to pitch pines and maybe some chestnut oaks, and just have it be more like a savanna, you could have so many more wildflowers up there. Better for pollinators, better for deer browse, a lot more fire resistant, because if it burns up there, it's going to be kind of knocked back for a while. Whereas if this is in there, it burns, the top dies, but the roots are still alive. This area is great. I love it. Look at that nice patch of red sphagnum moss. I don't know the exact genus, but it's a red variety of it. Next to all this cladonia, the reindeer lichen, the deer moss, which is a lichen. Yeah, it's cool habitat. There's an egg. It's full. Why is there egg? I don't know why there is an egg. I don't think there's any nests. And if it was dropped on the rock, you would think it would have broken. Well, looks like that's my job. Very good. Stinky egg. Yep, that's an egg.